Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to our yet another Mental Health Tuesday. It is our 43rd edition of Mental Health Tuesday, and we are here to have conversations, to hold safe spaces for us and our people so that we may be able to cope better with mental health situations. My name is Muhammad Ali Machausa. I am going to co-moderate this session, and we are very privileged to host today none other than Angie Yonder-Maina, who is the reason why SambaSport is working on mental health. We share a great story together since 2018 when SambaSport started. And since we met Angie, our mental health journey was kickstarted and it is never showing any reasons of stopping. So welcome Angie and welcome aboard everyone. It is going to be an exciting conversation with Angie. So please let us participate fully. Let us take it out there. For those who may not have found time to be with us, then let's share this knowledge with them after this call. So maybe just to start, what are some of the issues that affect us during the election? What are some of the issues that affects us during the high tension moments of the election? So if we can get 2-3 comments, and then we allow Angie to talk us for 15-20 minutes, and then we open a question and answer session. So you may write your opinion on the call chat, or you may raise your hand, and I'm going to allow you to speak. So who goes first? What are some of the mental issues that affect us during this high octane tension time of elections? Who goes first? Who goes first? Cephas, you always come to the rescue when I'm asking people questions. Yeah, your hand is up. So, Cephas, can you take the podium? What are some of the issues that affect us in the high octane moments of the election?
Of course, Mohammed, I'm here. Personally, I'm always scared about the election results, especially when it comes to a time when the results are just about to be announced. Because from some of the previous elections, we had seen quite a number of chaotic situations that follow after the results is announced. So I'm a little bit worried about how the situation will be after the announcement of the results. And,
Aha.
this one also comes about the security of my family. So generally, I have that worry in me.
Hear you, Cephas. So, Cephas says he is concerned more about the election results. When the results are going to be announced, he he's anxious. He doesn't know where is it going to, and how is it going to be received by the masses. So thank you very much. So and he says he fears for the safety of his family as the results are announced. Thank you very much, Cephas, for setting us the pace. Riziki, Mama Riziki, you have your hand up. Please tell us what do you think? What do you feel?
Good evening.
Good evening, Mama.
Yes, my fear or my anxiety is what is going on as per the news. Like today, I heard that there were some leaflets which were dropped in the part of Rift Valley, and another thing is the kind of words being uttered by the leaders our leaders, Honorable Right Hand Raila Amolo Odinga, Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. We as wananchi, we are always looking at them, and the way they are uttering their words might provoke us as wananchi to do things which might not be that good. That is my fear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mama. One, the inflammatory statements that may be uttered across the political campaign is an issue that brings us anxiety, and also leaflets. She's talking about news of leaflets being dropped in some areas. Basically, that is fear mongering. So those are some of the issues. Who else wants to say something before we allow Dr. Angie to take over? Who else has an opinion or a burning question or a fear?
Monaisha has her hand up.
Aha, Manaisha, sorry. Please shoot.
For me, I think is the pressure. Almost everyone is sure that their candidate is going to win, and it brings a lot of pressure. And the warnings that are going around, people should be careful. You should vote and then remain at home. You're not supposed to move around. Now the schools are being closed immediately. Like it was never planned. Like we were never prepared that this is going to happen. We knew that the schools were going to be closed maybe on 5th or 6th, but they're closed in immediately. So it brings a lot of pressure. Like we are being prepared. Like anything can happen. Something bad is going to happen. People are not prepared to be free and to learn that this is an exercise that can be done for one day and things to go back as normal. Like the other countries, the developed countries, how they do it, you even do not know even that day is election day. But this one is made like is something. Yes, I know it is important, but there's that pressure that is brought with it, and it brings a lot of pressure, and you don't know what to expect. People are still. We also hear rumors like people are supposed to stock their foods to make sure you have enough food in your house because you never know what is going to happen. And we knew what happened in 2017, 2007, 2008. So now it really brings a lot of pressure. Like we don't know exactly what is going to happen, and it makes us, especially me, I feel like I'm not okay. I feel a lot of pressure.
Okay, thank you very much, Manaisha, for that. Again, the sudden decisions that are made that are a bit peculiar, brings pressure. Everybody feels their candidate is going to win, and people are moving with a lot of bravado and chest thumping and calling each other names and telling each other by 9th you will know that we are the superpowers and stuff. So also that one is bringing a lot of pressure in people. The sudden closure of schools is also another tension rising moment, I can say. So thank you very much for your contributions. Let's allow Dr. to talk us through the session, and then we will have a question and answer session after 40 minutes past 8. Dr. Are you ready? Dr. Angie?
I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Take it. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So I want to talk to you guys about individual and collective nervous systems. So many of us know, and we use the mad, sad, glad, afraid chart that's here. We all know that the chart, for those of you who don't know, is when we're glad, which is a primary emotion, where our expectations are being met. And then another primary emotion is sad, and it's about loss of something of value or loss of a connection that's really important to us. The third primary emotion is afraid, danger, something bad's going to happen. We heard that in what all three of you were actually talking about. There's danger ahead. We don't know what it is. It's being set up to be like that. And then the fourth one, which is mad, is that secondary one that comes, that something has to change, but it comes from the loss, the sad, or it comes from being afraid. And with that, I want us to just think, and you can type in here, or you could actually just say it out loud. I will give us like 2 minutes. I'm going to time us, and I want us to breathe, and I want you to feel where the emotions are, and then I want you to tell me where in your body you're feeling these things. So I'm going to just time it right now. If I can turn on my phone. There we go. So let's just take 2 minutes, breathe into yourself, and tell me what emotion, mad, sad, glad, or afraid you're feeling.
Angie, can you repeat that to ensure everybody has understood the activity?
And I'll put it here in the chat. What are you feeling right now in glad, sad, mad, or afraid from the chart that's here on the screen? What are you feeling, and where is it in your body? About the elections that are taking place next. I see people are starting to put them in. Where are you feeling that? Where are you feeling that in your body? Chelsea, where is that sadness at? Give ourselves just another 2 more minutes to feel it. Now, as we come to the end of the 2 seconds, I'm seeing people talking about fear and sadness. Juanisha, you've said it's in your mind. Is it coming out as a headache? How's it coming out? What do you mean it's in your mind?
For me, it's coming up as in a form of a headache. Because I always feel like when I hear about this all pressure that is coming in with the election and all that, how people are campaigning, how people are making noise, the rumors are coming in. Whenever I think of them, I feel like I have a headache.
Yeah, so the headache is there. Raziki, where are you feeling it in your body?
Again, sorry?
Raziki, I was asking Raziki where she's feeling it. She says she's also feeling afraid.
Okay, truly for me, it's from, I can say from my stomach up to the head, yes. I am an observer in Likoni, so whatever I'm just seeing, it gives me some little, okay, I feel something is just terrible in my body, the whole body, from my stomach. Yeah, I'm not settled. Yeah. Thank you.
I feel so much similar to you. I feel exactly that. what you've just explained. Saifus, one more. You've also talked about fear. Where are you feeling it?
I feel the fear and it affects my heartbeat is faster than usual, and this then goes to my head, which results into a little bit of headache.
Mm. That makes a lot of sense, and it's in line with what others are saying. Machelza, you're the one who said sadness. Where are you feeling the sadness? Where is it in your body?
Angie, for me, it's more of a thought, not a headache as such, but just a thought that some leaders I see speaking on social media, speak on television, I just feel they could have done better. And I'm like, I'm so sad that someone with that level of leadership, that experience, and they speak the way they speak, and they're letting themselves down, and they're letting all of us down. And to some extent, they are letting everybody who's going to school down because we can actually behave better. So that's the way I feel.
And that's really, really important to know. And right now we're feeling these first primary feelings right now. But I want us to also be aware that if the shift comes and the anger comes, we need to keep understanding, where's that anger coming from? Is it loss? Is it fear? What is the anger that we could eventually begin to fear? Because so many of us are actually feeling the sadness and the afraid. Let me move on here. There we go. So, do you ever wonder why your stomach has those butterflies? When you feel anxious, when your stomach feels even like ice cold? Like my daughter always explains when she's really feeling very anxious that she feels really cold in the pit of her stomach. This is because our autonomic nervous system is responding to events, these signals that happen in our environment and inside our body. So these body sensations are being triggered by these signals that are happening in the outside environment. But why does it do that? So our autonomic nervous system is divided into two systems. We have the fight-flight system, that sympathetic system, and then we have the freeze system, the parasympathetic system. In our freeze system, we have that nerve called the vagus nerve. And we all know, most of us in here know, that it runs from the top of our brain here, our brain stem, the red part on the image, all the way through in two directions. So it goes downwards towards our lung, our heart, our diaphragm, our stomach. So that's the system that is in fight-flight. And then it goes upwards to our neck and our throat, our eyes and ears, which we'll call our connection nerve, the ventral vagal versus the dorsal vagal. So those two pieces are very much a part of this. So I want to translate this into how we use a staircase. Imagine you're at the top of the staircase. And now we're not going to imagine right now about elections. We're just going to imagine our feelings in our body. And at the top of the staircase, our possibilities are endless. We have the desire to reach out, connect with people, explore new opportunities. We feel free to make our own decisions. Our heart rate here is regulated. Our breath is like normal and full. And our connection nerve is regulated. Our eyes can see more clearly. We listen properly. And we tune out distracting noises. Here we feel healthy. Our blood pressure is regulated, we sleep well, and we have a good digestion. Our heart is healthy. This is where we want our nervous system as we go in to do our voting. But then something stressful happens in our environment. Leaflets get put out. We hear people saying things that we don't actually agree with on the TV. And what happens? Our heart rate increases, our breath becomes shallow, our eyes stop seeing friendly faces, and we begin to scan the environment for danger. Our ears stop listening to friendly voices, so we hear on the radio things that sound like they shouldn't be sounding. Our focus is on danger. And when a stressful event isn't dealt with, we experience anxiety, anger, panic attacks. In the long run, we begin to have sleep problems, high blood pressure, chronic pain in our neck, our shoulders, and our back, sleep problems, problems with memory, and here we go, stomach problems, Roziki. If we've tried to deal with the problem and everything fails, our disconnection nerve begins to come in and we begin to shut out. We might experience feelings of hopelessness and abandonment, that no one can help us. When we're in this state, we experience what we call disassociation, that loss of energy, isolation, depression. Our health is affected. We are chronically exhausted. People might have type 2 diabetes. There are stomach issues, weight gain. So why is this important to know as we go and step into the voting booth, as we start to experience the experience of our election next week? Sometimes when we're in fight, flight, freeze, we can only think about our responding to safety or danger. But this isn't the full story. Our nervous system plays a big part in scanning our environment for clues of danger and safety, often when we're not aware. This is why it can be difficult to understand why we react the way we do with certain people, experiences, or places. We may find ourselves starting to say, I don't know why I responded like that. Sometimes we might not even understand our responses to triggers. This might lead us to having shame, guilt, confusion, anger, or sadness. Learning to develop awareness of our emotions, our body sensations. Imagine I was asking you, where are you feeling that? Because oftentimes if you can pinpoint where you're feeling it, you can start to say what you're feeling. And that's how you can begin to learn to comfort and soothe that nervous system so that you don't stay in those heightened, tense spaces of fight, flight, freeze, and you can move back into the social engagement phase, which is where we actually think better and respond better. We need to build tools to help strengthen our nervous system, so even if we go into fight, flight, freeze, we can bring ourselves back to social engagement when it's safe and not just stay there. Because when we're in the stressed out state, potentially anxious state, we can't be curious, we can't be empathetic, and it is not helping us have good decision. We can't break into our prefrontal cortex, this part of our brain, the green zone, where we make good decisions, where we should be voting from, where we should be communicating messages of peace from. So we keep ourselves here in the back of our brain. And that essentially means we're not able to regulate our attention and our focus. And I think this all sounds a little bit familiar right now. So you know my analogy with the cup and the cracked cup. And we know that the cracked cup represents our community, and like the community, our cup is cracked and broken. So what happens when we pour it in? It leaks. And the community can't use our resources because it's leaking and it's spilling. And so this is how chronic violence and mistrust and abuse, neglect impacts us. And it impacts us to sense out the danger that our nervous system, our collective nervous system, is starting to tell us. And these cracks, every year, I've been in Kenya since 2002 election. So for me, my cracks come from 2008, 7 and 8, 13 and 17. But for many of you, your cracks start in the 90s, when maybe you're just children. Some cracks go back even pre-colonial days, because I've learned recently that our election violence issues in Kenya did not start in the 90s. They started even right after the post-election period. So just like individuals, our societies and communities have their own collective nervous systems. And it's tied to our history, which I was just saying. It's tied to the larger Kenyan society, both positively and negatively, and all those shades in between. Negative impacts are likely to be stronger and more impactful if issues aren't addressed, acknowledged, and processed, which for many of us have not happened for decades of our election violence. And because election violence is now the norm, and the event that happens, all of us hear elections and we get nervous. Or maybe it's because we've gone excited and glad to vote for a special candidate, life-changing candidate before. And then something makes them, either they lose, and it might be because we all believe there was rigging, or they just lost, and you're left feeling disappointed and left down. Or your candidate has won and they didn't fulfill the promises that they made to you. We're still looking for those laptops that were promised to us in 2013, and we haven't found them. So our trust in the whole system continues to be eroded. So how does that look like? Kenyans on Twitter are complaining that our vote doesn't really matter. We hear ourselves complain that we hate politicians, but often we just feel like our vote really doesn't matter. How many of us have heard in the last couple of days that Kenyan youth are apathetic? Often these things can be the elephant in the room, but they're felt, but they're left unspoken. This mirrors what happens in trauma, when it's silenced, unspoken, invalidated, ignored. And with trauma, for example, in second-generation survivors of the Holocaust or children whose parents experienced abuse, what we see often happens as unspoken, silenced, or ignored, it seeps and leaks into us in other ways. In some ways, one is feeling strong feelings of not knowing why, or becoming dysregulated, or having that stomach ache. And we learn to minimize it because this is just how it is for Kenyan elections. Someone might even know that something has happened because they can feel it or sense it, but they haven't had it confirmed or processed. Their imagination goes wild. They can catastrophize things, internalize things. We know things are going to go wrong, so they go wrong. And then sometimes we just brush it under cover. We're like middle-class Kenyans. We're not seeing that. Nothing's wrong. Everything's okay. And then this is where we begin to say, what's happening? What's under the surface? What's bubbling there? Where's the fragmentation? What's our nervous and what is our collective nervous system saying? So I'm going to give you another couple minutes. I want you to think, what are the signals of trauma and track success that you're witnessing right now, as well as at the social and the community level, from previous elections that are leading up to this election, and how is it making you feel? I'm going to give us a couple minutes, and then we're going to go into our conversation. And from there, I want you to tell me as we close and we have our conversation, where are you right now? What are you thinking about? But first of all, we want to actually really explore. Give yourself a couple minutes just to think about, where's the collective nervous system taking you? Where are the fears that you're having? I'm going to give us 2 minutes.
Hi, Angie. Some of us are saying they may not have heard the question very well. Are you able to type
Sorry.
it on the question?
Yes, I will. So it's thinking about that collective nervous system, what it's telling you and how it's impacting you personally. How is it coming in from the collective, what you know, what your nervous system is telling you from all the things you know in your life about elections, and how is it impacting how you're actually feeling in your body about what's happening and going to happen in the next few weeks. So I'm going to open that up, and that's our conversation to have with each other. You should be able to also pick the presentation that I gave. Feel free to take it, use it, share it with your family, start talking about this stuff. We're not understanding completely how what we're experiencing is normal and expected because of everything that we've lived through. So just normalizing how we're feeling is helpful, I think, for families, for communities, for others. So my presentation's there. Use it as you see fit. Anyone want to go? Cyphus, I hear you always go first.
Maybe I'll not go further. I didn't have it clearly. I'm sorry.
I can't hear Cyphus. So Raziki's saying as they were not general elections, her nervous system was very much okay. But it's the general elections where your nervous system is not okay. Is that what you're saying? All right, I need someone to talk. There you go. Machaza, why don't you tell us about this?
Okay, it's a long story a bit. I keep remembering the 2007 elections. I had just survived a road traffic accident. I'd broken my leg, and I was on bed. I was actually on bed rest. I was on crutches, and I was not supposed to move. I used to stay in Likoni then, and when the election day came, I forced everyone to allow me to go to vote in Nsambweni. So I went with my crutches and voted, and very trusting that my candidates would win, of course. And I didn't sleep. I kept watching the television from the evening all the way to the morning, and I saw the way the vote tallying was dancing different directions. So it was a very emotional time, and you feel so bitter that in that situation, you travel all the way, writhing in pain and casting a vote that doesn't count. And then there was a lot of tension, and the communities were going against each other, and commodities were lost. There were no supplies of commodities, and it was very difficult. And then you wonder, why should life be so difficult because of an election? So every time I think about an election, I keep being reminded about that, and it makes me feel so sad. That an election being a beautiful thing to give an opportunity to better leaders actually turns out to be a curse. All right. So that's my triggers of trauma and stress for me personally, for my family, and for my community.
Mm. So it's a collective feeling because it wasn't just you feeling it. It was a collective group starting to feel exactly what you're remembering. And you're remembering it, and you're remembering even the pain you were in to go and vote, and how in the end you didn't end up being able to see through what you felt like was something that was done that was wrong. And then the violence came after that in Likoni and things like that. Who else has something about how your collective nervous system is influencing maybe even how you're feeling today? Aha, Raziki is mad at the leadership. Huh? You don't feel like you should be losing your neighbors because they're feeling like they have to move away because they feel insecure. Huh? How does that feeling connect to the pit of your, the feeling you're having in the pit of your stomach, Raziki? Raziki, can you come back online?
Mama Riziki, are you able to speak?
Maybe not.
Yes, hello?
There you go.
Yes, proceed.
What's the question, Angie?
So how is that feeling? You just explained how you're angry that you're feeling bad that your neighbors are having to move, you're losing them because maybe they feel unsafe. How is that connected to the feeling you have in the pit of your stomach? You've talked about.
Yes, okay, let me put it this way. The way it is connected, it is because of the long relationship made I with my neighbors. Why do I keep on insisting neighbors? Because I have few who have just already moved. They took their things and they were just telling me, Mama Riziki, we are going for a safety place. So I am like, what's next? Am I going to be left alone in this area where I am? So that one is really making me nervous, having those stomach, because maybe I might be finding myself all alone with my kids, and my neighbors have been just moved. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. And that's how you start to think about your elections now. Like it becomes a part of who we are. Is there anyone else out there who wants to talk about how what you're feeling in your body is connected to what's happened in the past?
Okay.
Yes, Angie.
Let's let Cyprus go, and then Nishi, then you can also talk, okay?
All right.
Cyphus, do you want to go first?
We can hear you very well. We can hear you very well. If you need better connectivity, we are happy to go first.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is it better?
Now we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mine was 1997 when there was a campaign in Kisumu. At that time, I was living in Kisumu town. So we had two different groups who were competing. They were coming from different streets. So when they came towards to look for the votes, my cousin and I were in our, and unfortunately, after they fought, one group treated and they organized themselves better, or in a more powerful way. When they came, so the people that attacked them before were living around where the workshop was. So they came, they didn't hear anybody doing anything. As long as coming from that place, whether you are in your shop, whether you are in your guest, whether you are in your whatever you are doing, you are attacked. My brother was the attack and was seriously injured. Every time I see a campaign, I'm always sad because the enmity among communities that were living around that area remained until today. So when I see a campaign trail, I'm afraid that there will be permanent enmity among the communities.
I agree with you. Machosa, did you want to say something?
I was wondering if you got that very clear. Maybe we also allow Nishi to say what she wanted to say, and then we allow you to add it.
Nishi.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I remember the 2007 elections, the riots, the consequences of that, the fact that I was working then in a business environment, and business was very slow. Business was very slow. There was no much activity going on. And this was a place where maybe for us who are working there, we were assured of the salary, but then you could see the suffering, you could see the anguish that our customers now are going through, the fact that they were not able to do as much business as before. And no, it was for those people who either are not employed or don't even have such kind of stable businesses, who just depend on maybe day-to-day kind of activity, just going out. And many Kenyans lie in that bracket, where you just have to go out, find something to do that day, and find just 1 kilo of unga and probably some sukuma wiki, just fruits away for that day. So it's very disheartening to see people being unable to go out and get that little thing. And for those who are able maybe to, for some way, are able to do that, then you cannot even access those commodities. And for something that we should be actually be celebrating, for something that we should be hopeful and happy about, an election, it ends up being so hurtful to so many people. And when we talk about communities, the hatred between communities, many times it's between maybe a few communities, and then for the other minor communities who maybe support either of these communities, you find it beats logic that we end up hating one another because maybe one of us wanted this and another group couldn't maybe get the leader that they wanted. This just shows that even us as Kenyans, maybe even us as voters, maybe we're not even serious about the leadership that we want in this country. Because if you can hate another tribe because your own wasn't elected, or because your own cannot maybe make it to that leadership, there is a problem even between us. And I think maybe, I don't know how we can do that, but as Kenyans, there's a disconnect, because how do we hate one another? How do we end up hurting one another because of leadership, instead of us coming together as a team and just ensuring that we get the best for this country? Like, what is our interest, and how best can we go as different tribes to ensure that we get the best for this country?
And I think you kind of just wrapped it up for us this evening. Because we're not in our social engagement, we're not in that green zone, we can't activate where we're making good decisions. We're voting from our nervous system that's in fight, flight, and freeze. So we're voting for where we can't, we're voting from where we hurt, and we're voting for where we must. And we must hurt others in that space. So until we really start to say we are here as Kenyans, we're here to make the best decisions, we're voting for where we can, and we're going to end up voting in ways that don't actually help us. They help those who are actually there not to lead us, but to continue to do their own selfish interests. Mashalza, so I turn it over back to you.
I wish that we had a lot more time to break down all this conversation. Unfortunately, we only offered an hour to discuss this. And I know, Angie, you have plenty and plenty more to offer and facilitate on. But unfortunately, with the limited time, it's unfortunate that we can't do all that. There's a very famous adage nowadays that mambo ni mingi, masaa ndio machache. And it's very practical. So I don't know if we can hear the last like what do we do as we into what is our commitment, and we should close with that. It may either be a message on the call chat, or maybe you raise your hand and we hear you. What should we do as we go into next week? What is our responsibility? What is our commitment as leaders in our own right?
This is a question to the floor. I'm not answering that.
Anybody who wants to say something? What should we do collectively or in individual scenarios as we go towards the election? Thanks, Mishi. You are saying indeed. Thanks so much for the insights. Angie? If nobody has anything to speak, then we are going to close. But what is important is that we need to take leadership during the time that we are alive this week. Unless we die, our voices must rekindle that hope. Our voices must inspire that bond.
Salim and Lizzie have raised their hands.
Salim, Salim, can you take the podium?
Okay, what I'm thinking is to have affirmation. There is this self-affirmation and there is this collective affirmation to our community, to our neighbors, that yes, we should be positive, and something else, maybe we should also be prayerful in order to pray for what is just ahead of us. That is my thinking. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amariki. Salim Baragashi, please, can we hear your voice? If you are speaking, sir, maybe you are speaking on mute, we can't hear you. Salim Baragashi, can we hear your voice, please? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's okay. Maisha, you want to go? Please, let's hear your.
For me, what I will say is I think we need to take control and not let anyone to take control of us, of our lives, or of our decisions that we want to make. Because that if the leaders are the ones who incite us to do things that are not the right thing, we are the ones who make decisions to follow what they want for us to do. But if we decide to stick to take control of our lives, then no one can make us do anything. So if we stick, we want to do these elections peacefully, freely, comfortably, then it is us to make that decision. It is me and you and whoever who is listening, anyone, to take control and be in charge of their own life. And this thing will pass like any other. But if we decide to be controlled by people who have different interests of this whole situation, then we'll end up having a situation that will not be good. But if you are youth, you are an old man, you are a woman, you are a man, and you take control and say you're going to vote, and then we stick to that, then nothing will happen. So taking control of ourselves by knowing what is right and what is wrong and what we want to do and what we want to have, then it will help us. And then sticking together. Sticking together also will really help us. Like, for example, I want to use the example that Mama Riziki said. People are afraid, are starting to move from one place to another because we are not sure who is safe in the next door. But if we stick together, love one another, care for one another as a community, then that will bring a lot of peace and we'll have a peaceful election.
And quite a number of feedback here from Felix Sunday saying we need to remember and know that there is life after elections. And then he goes over and says again, let's choose peace and vote for family, keeping in mind that we will resume to our workplaces after the election, inshallah. And Angie says, let's find ways to enter voting from our engagement zone. That is lovely, Aisha. Thank you very much. That was lovely. And as we close, I want to say that happiness radiates and sadness also radiates. What do we want to see from our environment? Do we want to sulk and be sad and be fearful and radiate that? Of course, it will come back to us because everybody else around us will be sad and fearful. Or do we want to be excited, and be hopeful and very positive? Because it goes around, it all comes back to us. So let us force that. Let us force that inspiration. Let us force that motivation. Let us force that positivity. Because when it gets out of us, it goes around and comes back to us. And we all want to be happy. So let's share that happiness. Right? You've been lovely people. It's been a wonderful night listening to everybody. And I believe, even as we are few on this call, we can make thousands happy, excited, and positive. And these elections will pass, and it will be of value to our life. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. Good night.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.